We got a few minutes yet.
Yeah.
We can wait. So we are calling from Missouri, Iowa.
Mhm.
But we'll let people tell that when we do introductions.
True, that's a good idea.
So this isn't just a local. This is multi-states.
Multi-state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, each of you are direct descendants of Brigham Young.
So Carolyn, Marion, and I are, whatever the correct
Okay, you three.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we've been working with Stephanie and Lasonia for a bit now, just on racial reconciliation and working through different aspects of history and stuff like that. So,
Hey, Lasagna.
we love them. They're
awesome. Yeah,
so state how you're related to Brigham Young, each one of you.
Well,
now, Carolyn,
yeah,
how far back is Brigham Young from you?
So we are all great granddaughters of Brigham Young.
Great. Okay.
Great.
So I would be 3 because I'm another generation.
Oh yeah, you're younger. You're one of those younger persons.
I know.
But Marion and myself are great granddaughters.
And Rachel, did you just say you're 3 generations?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 2 and then we have 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But we would this organization would not be here without friends of the descendants of Brigham Young.
Yep.
As in Stephanie and Lasagna.
Yep.
And Ramses may not make it.
Yep.
Now, friends of the descendants. So it sounds like this is really complicated. So what do the friends of the descendants do for you?
There are guys
in trouble or something.
No,
we cause trouble. No, they've I mean, I feel like we are learning from each other about culture, about history, how history impacts us all, what it means, how to communicate about the difficulties of history together. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Stephanie, Lasonia, what would you guys say in terms of
how have you felt like you've been part of this group?
Well, we're learning from each other, like Rachel said, and
the sound
we're confronting and acknowledging.
Hang on, Stephanie, just a minute. What did you say, Philip?
The sound went off for just a minute.
Oh, okay.
But it's back on again. So,
okay, go ahead, Stephanie.
I said like Rachel said, we're learning from each other, and we're confronting and acknowledging history, and we're that process on how to set with it and how to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Now you're
so yeah.
You're one of the friends of the descendants. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We're all members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I was born into the church and I served a mission, Central British. Of course, this was back when the dinosaurs roamed. But yeah, so I'm very familiar with the church aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know this, it might be asking a lot, but my reason for not wanting to get into the religion side of things, I don't mind making references to the church and so on, but for the purpose of the nature of our conversation, if we can get to know each other as human beings, is the way I put it. and find that common ground,
Yeah.
Yep.
so that we don't get tangled up in philosophies and beliefs and so forth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
That sounds great. I think let's go ahead and give introductions, and you'll get a sense of our organization. I think what's amazing is that Brigham Young kind of brought us all together in a way, because of what the work we've done. Phillip, what research you've done. And I did read your book, an amazing book, and just learned so much. And hard to read about Brigham Young, but I think
You mean
we
it's
are all,
emotionally difficult?
yeah, and we are all brought together because we want to reconcile the trauma that has been part of our ancestors and part of the past. And I think that all of us want that to happen some way or another. And so that is the purpose of our organization. And so I think it would be helpful if everybody just went around and maybe give a little bit of background, why you're part of this group. Lasagna, we didn't get to hear why you are a friend of this Brigham Young group, which we are so glad you are. Anyway, so Lasagna, do you want to start? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name is Lasagna, and I got involved with Brigham Young descendants actually through church. And for me, it really has been about finding grace. Grace and being able to sit with everything, the things that I've learned and my own research. And so as a result of that, I really started out with Rachel. That's who I started out with first. Rachel kind of helped me with some personal issues that I was having, in addition to the fact that the Brigham Young descendants helped me to learn about the untold stories of the pioneers in winter quarters, and Brigham Young and his role. And so, and just a lot of things. So really for me, I'm discovering grace with all of this and just learning a tremendous amount of everything. And it's just been absolutely amazing. And I have developed such great friendships with these ladies, all of these ladies on here. It has just been a powerful testimony to me of the importance of getting to know, finding that common thread.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Lasagna.
Where are you from, Lasonia?
Oh, sorry. I actually live in Iowa, so I'm in Riverton, Iowa.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thanks.
Rachel, do you want to go
Appreciate
next?
what you said. I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry.
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was saying to Lasonia, she disappeared now,
Yeah.
that appreciate very much her coming from her heart and speaking out truthfully about what she want, what her expectations are. That's beautiful. Thank you.
So I'm Rachel. I originally got people together just through what I consider promptings and inspiration. But I didn't really know what we were going to do or where we were going to go. Mostly I'm a nurse. I've done a lot of stuff with dialogue. And so that's kind of what I knew. And I think it's just kind of, that's what we started doing. We started really just dialoguing. And I think we started out with more formal stuff, more formalized dialogue, just script stuff. But it has since really evolved into really, I agree with Lasonia, some really beautiful friendships. A lot of we've gone through some hard, really tough topics and had to sit with a lot of really tough things. And we've learned how to do that to a certain extent. I feel like you're always learning in this process of confronting difficult circumstances, nature, personalities, perceptions, how we perceive each other. And I think we, at least in this group, have gotten to the point where we feel pretty comfortable telling each other, like, being honest and upfront with each other about those things, which is really great. And so, yeah, it's been a great learning experience in terms of not just talking about hard topics, but actually delving into our own personal, how we react when we hear hard things, and how do we respond, and appropriate ways of responding. And I think I'm still really learning, for me, I can listen to hard things pretty good, but I'm not always as good at, like, when do I need to speak up? When do I need to say something? So for me, that's been kind of my learning process, really, is like, at what point do I need to say, wait a second, we actually need to say something about this. So, and I think I'm still kind of working through that too, but definitely that's kind of where I'm at now. We do a lot of these discussions. Carolyn, I don't know if Carolyn's told you, but she can talk about this too. Her and Marion and another man that he's African American, they'll do dinners together and talk about a book group of books that they're studying. And we've worked on just various different projects together, as well as trying to support one another in various aspects. So it's been beautiful. I've loved it. So yeah.
Beautiful. And
Marianne.
the quiet lady, Marianne.
Oh, you're muted.
Your sound is not on.
That's why she's quiet.
That's why I'm quiet.
There you
I'm
are.
not quiet. Well, I sort of am. Marion is my name. I live in the Salt Lake Valley. This has been a really personal journey for me. A surprising journey. It came in response to a request made by our general church leaders, and particularly quite a surprising request from our Utah area president, who asked us to look deeply and root out racism in our lives and in our church. That caught me by surprise, because I didn't ever consider myself racist. And I thought, Utah doesn't have a problem with racism. That started my journey. What it has turned into is quite an intense investigation into who I am, and incorrect teachings, understandings of what I grew up with. And particularly in regards to our grandfather, because I was raised respecting and honoring him as a leader, as a prophet, and as a grandfather, that we were to live up to our young heritage and the privilege that we had of being part of that family. So it's been tough to be able or to be willing to look at some hard things that before they've always been there. But I ignored them. I turned them off. I didn't explore anything deep. So without going into a lot of detail, my dear friends Stephanie and Lasagna have been so willing to help me see, along with Ramses and Mally Bonner, to really point out, help me see in such a kind way things that I have not understood in myself. If I do anything to help anybody else, that's great. But this has been a very personal journey of change and looking at some really hard stuff and coming to grips with it. So thank you. Lasagna and Stephanie are my sisters.
Thank you so much, Marion. I appreciate that you're so candid. I'm on the verge of tears just listening to your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Stephanie.
Oh, I was off mute. My name is Stephanie. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Actually, I've come to meet this group through a certain friend here in St. Louis, and it was in Ramses and Larry Lewis and everybody around the country, and it was perfect timing because being here in Missouri and dealing with racisms and whatnot, I was down, and it was so refreshing to meet a group of people that really wanted to address it, attack it, understand it. And it just gave me that hope to keep hanging in there. It really was life-changing, you know? And it's just like, I'm sitting here and it's just like, so here I am beating the drum by myself, you know? And it's just amazing. And it's really amazing to find descendants of Brigham Young who are willing to say, hey, I need to learn more, and I need to learn how to correct this. You know, that gives me hope. It really does. So.
Excellent.
And I work with Rachel here in Missouri. We're both in Missouri. So, you know, we try to put our head together and, you know, try to come up with something. We're about to do the steps of reconciliation together. So, yeah. It really has given me hope in that. I hate to say it, but I mean, it is the will to carry on.
That's beautiful. And I share that with you. I am really touched by each of you and what you had to say. LaSonia, are you getting her message? Oh, she's okay.
What she's writing? Yeah. I
don't know why we lost her.
Oh, she's here. She just isn't.
I'm still here.
She's still here.
All right, good,
She's still here. Yeah. I wanted to just say a few words just about your book. And
yeah,
I know that
Carolyn, sorry, really quick. Marion had something to say though too, but however we wanted.
Can I just add one little thing? I wanted to be really clear that as difficult as this is, and as I'm looking at the hard things, I still have such a great love and respect for our grandfather. I want to make sure that's part of this. He's amazing. He had just trying to keep the context of the culture, and it's such a battle to keep that straight. But I want to make sure it's understood that I love my family and I love my grandfather. He's an amazing man, even with all the ugliness that I'm looking at. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I take that to heart. That's good. Yeah.
and I have a little more difficulty with Brigham Young. And I started kind of this journey after reading a lot about the priesthood ban and temple restrictions and feeling just about the pain that caused so many people. And I've got a dog barking. And I'm going to put out, so I'll be right back. Sorry.
Can I add one more thing? I just love that Carolyn and I were cousins, but we disagree on so many things and kind of have a different view of things. But I adore her, and she's teaching me how to question stuff I've never questioned before. Love it.
Thank you,
That's how the
Mary
world
Ann.
should be, right? I mean, we all have our different opinions, but that doesn't mean we have to hate each other or push
Yeah.
each other away from us. That's beautiful. That is what is so inspiring. I feel that in each of you.
Yeah.
And I'm just really honored to listen to these comments. Carolyn, back to you.
Oh, I started kind of thinking a lot about the pain that was caused to my African American brothers and sisters. And that's really hard. And now we're learning a lot more about the Indigenous and the pain and suffering and devastation is really hard to read about. But I absolutely believe that for any kind of reconciliation, this has to be faced, and it has to be faced with loving people. And I couldn't ask for more loving people than the people you see on the screen right now. And they've been so forgiving of my process and so supportive of my process. And I think that is the true hope, is what we've accomplished on a real small scale can spread. And that's what we want for reconciliation.
That's the first step to healing, is to be able to listen to the truth and not and come to grips with it. Face your demons, face the truth, and work through it that way. It was very difficult for me too, in a different way, because I was born and raised in the church, and I served a mission, and but circumstances that happened in my life pushed me away. But I don't resent. But I've had to come to grips with those things.
Mm-hmm.
But what helped me most was when I finally met the Native American people and lived with them for 20 years. Lived with them in their homes and spending every day, we'd go out hunting, fishing, gathering food, gathering medicines, sitting around campfires and talking until 3 or 4 in the morning. And it was their perspective that helped me to come to grips with my demons, which I will want to share with you. But before, there's one more important thing for me to share. I am here with a very important person, and his name is Jared Ferguson, and Jared is a direct descendant of the only survivor of the Circleville massacre.
Oh, wow.
He was your second great grandfather. Jared is an educator, and I don't know exactly how to introduce you.
School teacher and a school administrator.
Hi, Jared. Welcome.
Yeah. This story is near and dear to me.
Oh, we can't hear, or I can't hear.
No,
Okay.
you need to get like close to the microphone, wherever
Yeah.
that's up.
Yeah. The
You can get
story,
close. That would be great.
is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so the story is near to my heart. As a younger
It went off
Oh,
again.
we can't hear for some
Yeah,
reason.
Yeah, so maybe it like if your head's up. I don't know where the microphone's at, but
I'm not sure either. You tell me where it all stays. It's in one spot. Right here. Can you hear that? Can you hear me?
not as
Not
good.
really well.
Hey, let me try. How about if should I go on this side? Is that what you're saying?
I feel like it's like right there.
How about right there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like right in the middle.
Yeah.
Right there in
So
the
maybe
middle.
that's gotta be like right in that middle
I was-
spot.
How is that?
That's good.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So the story is near and dear to my heart. I remember my dad telling me of my heritage, and I kind of knew the story a little bit. One of his sisters had done a lot of genealogical research and had gone to Circleville and met with the people and even got some sworn statements or notarized statements from people who were at that time old but had witnessed the massacre. And so I knew little bits and pieces, and it was always in the back of my mind. And then I ran across a distant relative who, oh my goodness, I just lost her name in Payson. Norma Vance. Norma Vance, who's a distant cousin, and she wrote a book called Moccasins and Wooden Shoes, which is the story of my great grandfather David and his wife Laura. And so I was fortunate to meet Norma, talk to her, and get to know her. And she shared some pictures of David and my grandfather, David's son, who died in a mining accident. And so it was really an important event. And then I don't know exactly how I ran across Philip's book, but I found Philip's book and I read the chapter in there and saw that he had also connected with Norma. Things just aligned. And then I was walking in the mall in Orem that he references in his book, and ran into his friend in the book there, and we connected. And I can't tell you how many spiritual experiences I've had with my ancestors regarding this incident, but I welcome the truth and anyone who seeks for the truth. I don't really care about blame. I care about the truth and taking responsibility and recognition of events in history. And I recognize there's a very strong bias of history written by the people who are most successful. And that to hear the other bias is very important. And so, and as an educator, that's what I strive for is learning and hearing the truth. So I respect your search for that and your willingness to accept it. And I'm very grateful to provide a space for Philip to do this and have a connection with him and with David. So thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. You bet.
You know, something that comes to my mind listening to everybody. And by the way, I want to just say that David here, who's doing this filming, he is of the same mindset. He's of the same heart. I feel very fortunate to be working, have people come want to share in this because they too want to find healing in some way. Anyway, what comes to mind is mindsets. And I would like to start with the definition of mindset. There are two types of mindsets. The first one is people with a fixed mindset seek approval. We'll just let that soak in a minute. The second mindset are people with a growth mindset, and they seek development. And that's what I see here as beautiful. I think each of you have that mindset of wanting to grow and develop your understanding and find that way that we can heal together as humans, as human beings. There are 7 sacred teachings of the Native people. And those 7 teachings are honesty, love, respect, courage, humility, wisdom, and truth. Now, that is what they live by. That's it. And when it was my brother and I that got involved in this in the beginning, and it was a hobby. We wanted to learn as much as we could about the Black Hawk War because our great grandfather Peter Gottfredson wrote a book called Indian Depredations in Utah, which is a first-hand account of the Black Hawk War. And he lived with the Timpanogos people. He was their friend. They gave him the name of Sheep Captain because he herded sheep for the local community down in Mount Pleasant. And when he was out there in the boonies, we call it, at night, Native people who would come out of nowhere, and they were the ones who had been in a battle, and they saw the horrifying visions of war. And they would come into Peter's camp, and he would describe that they were delirious. And that they were lost, confused. And so he would feed them, and he would get them to talk. And then morning would come and they'd move on. So my brother and I were very fascinated by this because we didn't know that our great-grandfather was a friend of the Native people. In fact, it came kind of a shock to us because at that time we were prejudiced. We were prejudiced against Native people. We were taught that they were savages and heathens. And we were taught never to go near the reservations. So we learned those things. And that's how we grew up. Now, our father died in 1983. And we were still of that mindset. I was about 50, mid-50s. My brother was about 60, in his 60s. What we didn't see in all of the records that we read, all of the books written on the Black Hawk War, and there's probably 50 of them or so. And the thing that was missing out of all of those American side of the story. And you can pick up any book that's written and read it, and you'll see there's not the indigenous side of this story. That bothered us very much. And so we started to look for Native people within our own community that might give us some insight. And we couldn't find any that would talk to us. And it was, we kept trying to find something, and we ended up I was listening to a broadcast on the internet. It was a podcast that was called Wisdom Keepers. And they would have leaders of indigenous tribes on there. And they would talk about stuff. And one was a man from Oregon, and his name was Mullah Spotted Elk. And he was Shoshone, full-blooded Shoshone. And he was talking about how they raise rabbits. And their way of raising rabbits and treating animals was to treat them with love and kindness. And so they didn't pen them. They grew them in an enclosed area, but there was a big enclosed area so that they could, have freedom to dig holes and to run around and be rabbits. And when it came time to ask to take their lives so that they could feed them, become food, they would do it in a prayerful way. They would actually talk to the rabbits and get permission. This was fascinating to me. This didn't sound like a heathen or a savvy. This sounded like a caring human being. And so after this interview, I was so moved by him. I sent him an email, not expecting that he would write back, but he did. Well, to make a long story shorter, we wrote back and forth until he says, why don't you come up here to Oregon and spend a week with us and live with us? Good food, good conversation. What more can you ask for? So I took time off work and I got on a plane and I went up there and I spent a week. My friends, it was just like stepping into another world. Now, they're not religious by any means, and I have nothing against religion, okay? But they're not religious, but they are spiritual. They do believe in a power that's greater than themselves. They do believe in the natural world. They believe in that, as I will quote from my book, I wrote that when Creator created this world, he touched it with his hand. And because he touched it with his hand, it is sacred. And being sacred, it belongs to all who inhabit it. And that's not just us as humans, but the four-leggeds, the wingeds, those that swim and creep and crawl, the seen and the unseen, the wingeds. It belongs. Excuse me, I get. It's okay, and it belongs to all of us. And we're all related to one another because we all come from the same source, right? Mother Earth. Our food, our medicine, our clothing, everything comes from Mother Earth. And, I was out with Mullah out in the forest one day, and we were talking. He says, I got to ask you a favor. I says, what's that? He says, now you don't have to do this if you don't want to. It's voluntary. But I would like you to leave you here, and I'll go back to the house, but I will be waiting for you when you get back. I'll be sitting on the porch. Take all the time you want. But I would like you to talk to these trees. Oh, it was a beautiful forest, these gigantic cedars. They're probably 100 feet high. It was beautiful. And he says, I want you to talk to these cedars. I know it sounds a little weird, but he says, you tell them how important you are and have a conversation. And then you come back and tell me what you discovered. Would you do that? I said, hey, I'm here to learn. So I'll do what you asked me. I didn't talk to trees. I had no experience doing that, but I sat down the base of this one grandfather. It was huge. And I leaned up against it. And I thought, oh boy, this is what a beautiful place. Well, I've got to do what Mala asked me to do. So I started talking. And I'd say, oh, I've been here and I've been there and I've done this and I've done that. And I've got this recognition and that recognition. You know, I've done all these amazing things, you know. And then I sat there quietly and there was I didn't hear anything. But I had achieved what he told me to do. So I went back down to the house. And there he was. I don't know how long I was gone, a couple hours. And I sat down and he says, well, did you? I said, yes, I did. And what did you learn? I said, maybe I think what you're trying to tell me is I talk about myself too much. And I don't listen enough. He says, it's interesting. He says, what I would like you to learn from this is that those trees, right, just bear with me, those trees breathe out oxygen. And we breathe in their breath. And we give off carbon dioxide, which is oxygen to them. And so we depend upon each other to be who we are. That is our connection, our sacred connection to each other. So he says, who is more important, you or the tree? That was my first lesson in humility. And so what I'm saying is that we all belong to this planet. And I met a chief one day, and I just walked up to him, a total stranger. I didn't know him. And I said, I don't know why I'm coming over and talking to you, but I felt I needed to. Because I'm on a quest for truth. And he turned to me and he grabbed my hand. He took my hand, total stranger. And he says, what you need to do, my brother, is to pray and ask Creator what your purpose is here in this life. That is, you follow it and you never look back. Now, those are the kind of lessons that I learned from the Native people. And this was great because I was in a bad way before I went up there. A series of horrible events had happened in my life that I couldn't cope with. I had lost all self-respect. I had lost my way. My compass was broken. My moral compass was broken. I had turned to drugs and alcohol. And I lost my home. I lost my business. And most importantly, I lost the one person that I loved most in my life from a motorcycle accident. So I had a lot to grieve about. So when I started living with the Native people and hearing their teachings, they felt so good to me because they didn't ask me to sign anything or give them any money or to join anything. All they said to me was, look, just be yourself. Just be yourself. Come from your heart. Boy, nobody had ever told me that before. It was always, you got to do this, you got to do this, or else, or else. So I lived in fear. I lived in shame. I lived in self-loathing. It was like I could never do anything right, please anybody. I was living my life from that mindset of a fixed mindset to seek approval. The mindset of the Native people, I learned, was a growth mindset to seek development. And that's why I found the healing. And that is why I'm here speaking with you. Because that's my story of how I found my way. Now, Brigham Young, my gosh, I studied him for years. Do I hate him? No. I can't, to be honest, I don't have very high regard for what he did, but I think he was probably a good man with good intentions. And I think the whole movement were good intentions. My gosh, my folks were part of the handcart company that came out here. They struggled. It was hard, but I'm proud of them. I think just sometimes we get caught up in things and they turn out they seem to, they don't align as we go on. They don't align with your heart. What's inside your heart? Be who you are. Come from your heart. I think that's the most important thing to begin with life with, is knowing who you are, knowing your weaknesses. Love yourself, have respect for yourself, and then you can love others. And you can respect others. Be the person you want the rest of the world to be. It's that easy. The 7 teachings: honesty, love, respect, courage, humility, wisdom, and truth. That's my message. And I think what we are doing here right now, this minute, is we're trying to find answers. Look, each of us have a different path to walk. And it really doesn't matter which path you walk, because they all come to the same conclusion, really. What matters is how you walk your path, right? Walk your path in a good way for the good of all. You know, when every morning when I was living with the Shoshone up there in Oregon, now these are traditionalists, and every morning Mala would come around and knock on the door. Well, all that meant was we're having sunrise ceremony. You know, if you want to join us, fine. If you don't, that's fine. Come rain, shine, it doesn't matter. Mala was always there. And what would we do? Well, we would, Sky, his wife, would build a fire. And in a way that they are accustomed to doing that with ceremony. And we'd all gather around the fire. And Mala would always start by saying, it doesn't matter or who you pray to. What matters is that you come from your heart and direct that energy into the fire so that that energy radiates out to help all others, all our relations. And we would have a little pinch of tobacco. Oh my gosh, what's that about? Well, tobacco has a gift of remembrance, a gift of memory. And it stores memory. It stores the energy of memory. So if you have good thoughts, good energy, it's in that tobacco. So you say your prayers, it goes into that tobacco, and they would sprinkle that on the fire, and the smoke would go up and carry your prayers to Creator. Wonderful. And we would pray for world peace. We'd pray for each other. We would pray to bless the animals. We'd pray to bless the water. We'd pray to bless Mother Earth. So there was nothing satanic about it or anything weird. Coming from our heart. Those are our wishes. That's our intentions. So you see, there's common ground for us to meet on. Because it isn't about asking anybody to give up what you believe. It's understanding each other, finding a common ground, and being able to walk your path together in a good way. Now, you know, the famous chief said, it's not necessary for the eagle to become a crow. What is necessary is that the eagle and the crow learn how to live together, work, you know, and share the planet together with love and respect for each other. Now, I had a lot to let go of because I was a very worldly person. I'd run a business for 25 years. I was all about making money. I had nice cars. I had an Audi, brand new Audi Quattro, $35,000 car back in the late 70s, paid for. I had fine clothes. I went to the barber. I went to the hairstylist. Sure, I loved it. I loved it. I had nice furniture, a beautiful home. My brother and I, we were both retired. And it was okay when we made our decision to give all of that up. So we would have the freedom to move up to Oregon and live with the Native people and learn their history and learn their ways without judgment, with an open mind and an open heart. Now, my friends, that was the most beautiful 20 years of my life. My brother passed away, but he promised me that I would continue. And then I met Mary Myers, the Timpanogos, and she'd say, I've been reading your website. You got all the history right, but you got the wrong tribe. I says, I beg your pardon. I've been doing this for 7 years now, 10 years. And she says, that's why I got a hold of you. You got the wrong tribe. Haven't you ever heard of the Timpanogos? I said, well, my great grandfather lived with them, but I assumed they were Ute. She says, no, no, no. So I met with her in a meeting that was to take 2 hours, turned out to be a lifelong friendship. And I love Mary to death because she had so much patience, so much knowledge, and to share. And we sat down and we went through thousands of pages of documents together. I spent every summer at Mary's home, in my motor home, parked out in her driveway for 8.5 years. And every summer, we went over it and over it and over it. So that was a big aha time, because that was the moment where I started to, like one of you mentioned, that history started to finding out the rest of the story. And all the books today say that the Timpanogos that are Ute. They're not. But they're 2 separate tribes in language, origin, and customs and bloodlines. But it's all got confused. So you can see what I've had to deal with, what we are dealing with all the time, is trying to straighten out 100 more than 100 years of history, trying to make sense of it all, and trying to find that path to heal, to bring us together so we can build that path between us. Thank you so much. I'm happy to answer any of your questions and comments. Are welcome.
Lasagna, you had your hand up. Do you want to, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Good, good, good.
Yeah, I wanna tell you thank you so much, Phillip. I also wanted to say thank you to David. That was when I had my hand up earlier. But I wanted to totally agree with you, because in my journey, and also this is why I'm very humbly grateful for the descendants here of Brigham Young, because of them has enabled me to learn the things that I've learned, to become connected with people like you that is sharing this truth. Because I am working with Omaha Nation out here, learned exactly what you said and more. Because one of the things that they always said is that why we don't know their history is because nobody ever asked them. And I just honestly just did something recently and got the history, because I thought it was one way and it wasn't. And you're so right about the different the tribes in which you think they are. What is written is so wrong. And when you get the oral history from the actual oral keeper, you find out really, and I just love that I was able to receive that and literally him say, this is our history. This is, and that means everything. And the other thing, all of the connection that you talked about, your experiences, like with the tree and things like that. I study herbalism and I study Native American herbalism and everything you said spoke volumes to me. Like you just filled my heart. I just had a recent experience in learning about connecting with nature. You just confirmed everything. And it is so upside down, like need to totally flip the pyramid. I always call it, it's the pyramid. And the laws that you gave, even as I broke it down, everything you said is so true. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for your words, your confirmation. Thank you for inviting me here, because that mindset is important about being able to develop. And when you can change your mindset, you can change everything. And even in regards to Brigham Young, it is because of that that I have learned about him, and I appreciate him in a different way, because when you learn, you can understand that. That's where you find that grace. And you can just thank you. I I may have to leave because I'm supposed to go to another class, but thank you. Thank you for your words. That means everything.
Thank you, Sonia, so much for my heart to yours. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Marion.
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 Thank
Marion,
you.
huh?
I agree with everything that Sonia said. This has just been remarkable. I do have a question for you, Philip. Do you go by
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Okay. Before I ask you the question, I would like to answer the same question that I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Just so you know where I'm coming from. In my path in an effort to reconcile, to be one, we're all children of God, and we need to be unified and together. And I love what you say about all living things. We need to be unified with all living things. But as I've been walking this path, I have come to understand in my mind, people have a part of God's divinity. And if I ever choose to hope to become more Christ-like, I need to discover what you have that I don't have. What whoever in this world that I'm not familiar with, or don't live with, or don't understand, they have a piece of God's divinity that I don't have. And I want to find out what that is. And as I do it, I want to, what my part of reconciliation is witnessing the pain and the things that happen to other people, and then try to become more unified, to adopt the things that you have learned that I need to learn. Now, my question for you, what does reconciliation to you mean? What were the two animals that you said lived together? Was it an eagle?
The eagle. And the eagle doesn't need to become a crow.
A crow. I love that. And that's true. We don't all need to think alike, be alike, do the same things, but we do have to respect and live together. So tell me what that looks like for you. How do we unify?
Marianne, thank you. You really touch my heart.
Oh, thank you.
Look, Marianne, you don't have to look. All looking for is not outside of ourselves. It's inside. It's in you already. We all need to go deep in our hearts. Merge with the dust of the earth and ask for guidance. Ask Creator what your purpose is here in this world, in this life. And listen to your heart. And when you have that answer, you follow that. Regardless of what you believe in, follow that. Trust yourself. But that answer that we all are looking for is inside. So through meditation, through prayer, you find out who you really are and go from there. Get out of your head. I tell David that all the time. Get out of your head and into your heart. And he reminds me too. So that's a reconciliation to me. Now look, as far as the Timpanogos tribe is concerned, what they need most is for Brigham Young's extermination order to be rescinded.
Do you have a copy of that?
I do. If you go to my website, blackhawkproductions.com, and you go to the directory. Just a minute. The timeline page. And then you go to Fort Utah, the story on Fort Utah. And it's a combined story of Fort Utah and Battle Creek. That's where all of this began. And the extermination order is there. There are photo copies of it on that page. And it tells you where it's located in the archives at the state capitol here in Utah. Now, one of your relatives actually went there and found it. It's there. And he says it is signed by Brigham Young. Okay. Now, listen.
Yeah. I need a copy of it because I have a legislator who's willing to work with us.
Good. You just right-click on that and download it.
Okay.
There is number 1. It's called order number 1 and order number 2. I don't know why, but there were two extermination orders. Now, Marianne, let me share this with you because this will help. That was in, let's go to the Civil War. When the Civil War ended, the United States, President Grant at that time, told everybody, go west and exterminate all of the native people. That was his words. He used the word exterminate. Why do I bring that up? Because Brigham Young was not unique in making an extermination order. He was following the trend. Now, it doesn't excuse him, but to know that he's following a trend. And so that went along for a while. And then people rose up and said, that's not right. They started pushing back on it. That's not right, just to wholesale murder people. We need a more humane way to assimilate them into our culture. And that gave birth to the boarding schools, and that gave birth to the reservations. Okay, so but it didn't bring an end to the extermination of the native people. It really came down to, well, look, we give the native people a chance to follow our ways, to live our ways, you know, and if they won't, then kill them, get them out of the way. Now, where does that come from? That's the doctrine of discovery. Well, where does that come from? Well, now you have to go clear back to 1453 with the Catholic Church. The Papals of Rome declared that anyone who doesn't believe in Jesus the Messiah and who doesn't believe in the Holy Bible, they are, quote, savages and heathens. And that's where that term comes from. And because they don't believe in these things, you have a right to take away their land. You have a right to burn their houses down. You have a right to do whatever you want to them. Well, they were the power of the time. But here's what you don't know. That doctrine of discovery was woven into the Constitution of the United States as Christian expansionism. And it's still in the Constitution, but it's disguised. Now, from that came manifest destiny.
Mhm.
And so there's more more to share the blame for everything that went around than just one religion and one man. Okay, and I think here's my sincere belief: if the church would just say, we acknowledged what has happened, like you folks have, who are descendants of Brigham Young. Just say, we acknowledge it happened, but we're different now. We don't believe in those things. We believe in love and kindness. In other words, we're trying to walk our talk. And if they would just do that and rescind that extermination order, can you imagine how healing that would be to the membership of this church?
It's just that easy.
Just that easy. And that's all the Timpanogos. Timpanogos don't want pity. They want justice. They don't deserve to have this hanging over them all the time, because people use that. And so they live miserable lives. It's caused them irreversible damage. So I don't know. That's what repatriation or yeah.
Reconciliation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what it means
That's
to
beautiful.
me. It's just an acknowledgement, you know.
Mhm.
Phillip, you know, Stephanie is next, but I just want to say this. Would you ever be willing to meet with me and Marion? I know you live in Springville. Because there's a longer conversation here about that extermination order.
Yes.
So
Sure, I
we'll
would.
talk
Sure.
about that later. But Stephanie, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Stephanie. Thank you for your
So,
patience.
I really want to thank you for your words. Actually, I believe you are the poster child of reconciliation in the fact that you stated how you were brought up. Okay. And the other side said, come and live with us. You know what I'm saying? And they taught you a different point of view that probably changed your whole perspective on life, right? You know, it's just the story of where they asked for permission to ask the rabbits, can we eat you? That's a respect to a soul, you know, that they're spiritual. Even in the Bible, God said, I created all things spiritual first. Okay. So our connection is that we're all spirits of God. And to respect that and acknowledge the light of God, Christ in us, that's where we can begin reconciliation. Yes, we can begin by acknowledging the wrong, but the actual steps of conversion is seeing that light in all and respecting souls. So I love your thoughts about having a fixed mindset as opposed to a growth mindset. If I was born Indian, you know, I think it's in Omaha, you're either a spiritual person or a person of the temporal. I would have been the spiritual person, okay, and I needed my significant other be of the earth, okay. So I relate to the spirit aspect of it because that is what connects everything in this world. And I thank you for your remarks. It was really good. And I'm sorry, they're setting off fireworks outside. I don't know why. Sorry for the thunder in the back. But thanks again. And one last question, or I have a question. You have a book. What is the name of the book?
Yes, the book is called
I've been trying to look it up. I can't see that. I'm an old lady. Thank you very much.
It's My Journey to Understand Black Hawk's Mission of Peace.
Okay. Thank you. I was trying to look it up
this,
online while you were talking.
Yeah. Here's a man who his life when he was born, it was a peaceful world. These were peaceful people. They were not warring people, and they loved each other. And they were just all of a sudden imagine a foreign country coming into ours and to being able to take it over and say, you have to cut your hair, you have to change your clothes, you got to eat what we eat, you can't speak your language anymore, you can't pray to that God anymore, you have to pray to ours. And if you don't, we'll punish you severely. That is the experience of the Native people. And so Black Hawk, at the end of this, he's dying from a gunshot wound. And he travels 180 miles by horseback because he wants to go home to the place of his birth and pass out of this world in peace. But along the way, he visits the different Mormon villages. And he says to them, now this is amazing because he's lost his family, he's lost his land, he's lost his identity, everything. And he says to them, I apologize for the pain and suffering I caused. I want you to do the same. Let's end this bloodshed and live together in peace. They just kind of basically shrugged him off. Where did that come from? That came from his teachings of honesty, love, respect, courage, humility, wisdom, and truth that his ancestors taught him. My journey to understand Black Hawk's mission of peace, that's what it's about. And I appreciate your comments so much. Thank you. My gosh, I just want to hug you all.
Lasagna, you have your hand up. I know we need to be in the same room. We need to be
we do.
A campfire.
I don't know if you can hear me. You know, I thought that I was gonna get off, but I felt very inspired to stay on. And I know you mentioned not well about the religion part, but you brought to an attention something that I feel was really important about what you said when you talked about being in the archives and the things that were said. And the most important thing that you said to me right now was the fact that how the President Grant and where all of that came from. And one of the things that I've learned from the untold stories is there is in scripture, and you can look at this yourself, but in scripture, in the Doctrine and Covenants, in 136, as I've always said over and over again, it was not that way in the beginning. Before Brigham Young ever went to Salt Lake City, the Lord himself gave a revelation to Brigham Young specifically, and it addressed here it was Omaha Nation and the camp of Israel, and God's way to treat. That was specifically he named Omaha Nation and Women of Quarters because they were here, and camp of Israel was everyone, and he laid out how Native Americans and all people were to be treated, and it did not include any type of order like that. They made a covenant, and the Omaha Nation will tell you themselves from their oral histories, it was not that way in the beginning. When they came, those orders, as you said, that came after, and those orders in assimilating or whatever you want to call it, but it was not that way in the beginning. And God himself basically told how Native Americans and all people were to be treated. He did not approve of the way slaves were treated. He did not approve of the way Blacks were treated, and he had provided a way. And so it is also documented. So please know that. Yes, there's a lot of things, but the bottom line is it was not that way. And God himself gave that revelation to Brigham Young.
That's correct. I'm familiar with that. And thanks for bringing that perspective into our discussion. Thank you. That means a lot. I want to just say this, read you a very short paragraph. The age-old message of Indigenous America is connection, relationship, and unity. All people are one. All are the direct living descendants of our Creator. Lakota Chief Joseph said, "We have no qualms about color. It doesn't mean anything. that just sums it up who the Native people are. And it's important to understand who they are. It is important to understand who you are. That's the beginning. That's where we can come together and have these discussions. I would love to show you at some time a video that I have of a town up in Twisp, Washington. This is where some people from California retired, and they came up to Twisp, a little tiny town, and there was an Indian reservation next to them. And the townspeople there didn't know anything about them. And the new people from California said, well, why doesn't anybody talk to them? We need to talk to them. So he and his wife decided to go talk to these Native people. And they invited them over to their house for dinner, a couple of the Native people. And they spoke and they talked. They promised to leave religion out of it. They promised to leave politics out of it. Let's just get acquainted with who we really are, who we are. And they enjoyed that so much, they came back again. And they brought some of their friends. And that grew until they had to move their meeting to a meeting hall someplace. Well, it kept growing because of the spirit, because of the way they approached this. It kept growing until they had a powwow, a healing powwow for everybody to attend. And some 13,000 people came out to this.
Oh my, wow.
To celebrate their newfound friendship. We can do that. And it wasn't about anybody having to give up their beliefs. It just was coming together and getting to know each other and break down those stereotypes. Embrace each other. I am so grateful to you for, yes, go ahead, Rachel.
That just reminded me. So when I said I kind of originally began this, I actually had just a couple of years ago taken a class that was on healing circles, and they went through a little bit of the history, talking about how Indigenous cultures all have some, or I don't know if all of them do, but a lot of them have some sense of healing circle where, like, what to me that sounds like what you were describing. There's a sense of just coming together to share ourselves with one another, to share the pain maybe that we have experienced or felt, and then to just be connected to each other.
Yes.
Breaking down those barriers. Or just, I don't know, like that just reminded me of that whole concept. And I do feel like to a certain extent, that's kind of what we have worked to do in what we're doing.
And I applaud you. Boy, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's so interesting because I feel like there is difficulties and a little bit of hardship, but there's beauty in it. And I feel like every time we actually come together in a space like this, there's power in it and beauty in it and connection in it. So I guess, like, to me, I would love to understand more, and I don't know if you know, but just for future learning, how Indigenous peoples have utilized this concept, because I think it's kind of foreign to Western civilization. The idea, like, let's all get together and try and, just be. I don't know. what is that?
Well, now, if you are interested in, I think there's a video online but you want to look for, I think it's called Three Rivers. And I got to know the producers of this. I got to know the chief of the tribe. I got to know the one of the couple that started all of this. But there's a lot of inspiration from that. And if maybe I can send that information to Carolyn and she can pass it on to you folks. Are we?
I think we are at an hour and a half, and I mean, thank you so much, Philip, for your generosity in sharing with us. It was, just seeing the different ways that all of us connected to what you were saying. That says a lot about your generosity and what you have to offer people. So
Thank you so much. Thank each of you so much. And you can just write down blackhawkproductions.com. That's my website. You can connect to me through that website. The whole story and background is on there. You can buy the book from there through that website as well. Thank you so much. It really has been an honor. And I would just wish you guys all the best.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Ooh, lots of love. Ooh.
Yay! Group hug.
Well, I am hoping, Carolyn and Mary,
Yeah.
that if you guys talk with Philip at all about the extermination order, we can maybe chat about that at a later time.
Let's do.
Yeah.
We're to
Do
talk.
this again. Sure.
Yeah, we would love to. Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Everybody have a good week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. I don't know.